a value, law is a value. All these forces in shaping the not only human beings to be moral, but in maintaining social solidarity could be considered as extremely positive. So external world is not only, especially cultured external world, is required for human self-realization. It is in this sense that Xunzi puts a lot of emphasis on institutions, on learning the language well, learning the rules of the game of moral interaction well, learning to overcome or to transform one's instinctual demands, food and sex, all these instinctual demands. Mencius said human beings are naturally greedy, naturally aggressive, naturally jealous, and naturally interested in self-profit, maximization of profit, self-interest. So he has a very, you can say, a very negative view of human nature, and yet he strongly believes each and every human being through learning can perfect the nature that is the basis of social disintegration. Yes?
So would we be able to say then that in Mencius's view, the one little thing that separates us from animals is sympathy, as you said last week?
Right.
And then in the Xunzi view, it's that cognition that separates us from the animals?
Cognition is much more important than feeling of sympathy.
Okay. But
you see, let's say in the Kantian sense, in Immanuel Kant's sense, human nature is not reliable. Mm-hmm. And so our cognition about the world is such that we know we have to develop some of the rules of the game, even though it's not part of our nature, but we recognize it's important. So that's the categorical imperative. It's formalistic. It's not related to our feeling. In other words, there's belief, sympathy is not necessarily reliable. Sympathy may be restricted. You can find some people who are very sympathetic, but the majority of the people are just overwhelmed by other kind of features in human nature, such as greed, jealousy, and so on. You have a question?
So there's one passage in the Analects that said that if nature if nature overcomes culture, then you have a savage, and then if culture overcomes nature, then you have a pedant, so it's the
combination of the two.
The combination and the balance of the two that creates
a
gentleman.
Yeah.
So in regard to what you just said about Xunzi saying that you need to overcome through learning that bad nature, is that the word nature there, is that the same word? Are they using the same character even, or?
I think no. The word is used as substance of being human, so it can be interpreted in the Analects, right? Mm-hmm. So it can be interpreted as the basis of human nature.
Okay.
Of course, it's debatable because the Confucian project is subject to interpretations. So we have two very radically different interpretations, but both of them can say we're part of the Confucian legacy. And if you say that the basic Confucian idea is humanity, the basic Menxing idea is rightness. This is, of course, simplistic way of looking at it. What is the basic idea in Xunzi? It's ritual propriety. It's the external forms of civility. So there's argumentation, and of course, whether rightness based upon sympathy is the proper way of learning to be human, or the external forms of human civility should be considered as the basis for human self-cultivation. These are two very different ways. Now, what is ritual? Now, ritual is really the wrong word, not the wrong word. Ritual is sometimes related to ceremony, right? To a particular moment in your daily life. But the Xunzian idea of nature, I think I asked you to read Herbert Fingered's book, is so general that it is not possible for us to imagine a human situation that does not involve ritual. I even use the term ritualization. Now, the difference is ritualization and ritualism. Ritualism is a formalist. It's a kind of formalist. If someone is very ritualistic, you mean that someone is very much constrained by certain kind of formalistic way of doing things, and the person is not free enough. But ritual, properly understood, that's the reason why we say civility. It is the way that you interact with other people on a daily basis. So sometimes I say it's a tacit language. You normally don't say it, but people know whether you're part of the culture. In the world, we call it, the world is very diversified, right? So there are many ritual forms, many cultural forms. An amusing experience, I may have used it before, I traveled from New York to New Delhi for the first time, and met a philosopher shortly afterwards, and he asked me about my own position, and I tried to articulate it. And he didn't agree. So I tried to use a different strategy, and he still didn't agree. I became somewhat frustrated. I tried to use the third one, and he said, "Sir, I totally agree with you when you said it first time. Why you did it the third time?" I said, "You knock your head like this. This is the Indian way of appreciating." I said, "How do you say no?" He said, "No, it's like this." So I totally missed the cue, right? You different ways of handshaking. You've been to Japan, you know how difficult to learn how to bow, right? If you're superior, you simply do that. If you are inferior in age or in authority, you bow very deeply. And that's the reason why, if you meet a Japanese, the first thing you do is exchange name cards. After you exchange name cards, you look at, you bow. So many different cultures who have handshaking is very important. How do you shake hands? But in some other cultures, for example, Islamic cultures, you're not supposed to touch the hands of someone else. So, but anyway, however, there's no question about the fact you can have some sense someone is polite, but someone is not. And someone is civilized in that particular culture, someone is not. And this sense of the sheer way of interacting among people from the Xunzian point of view, that's critical. And so you have to learn, this has to be learned. There's no way you can, naturally, it's not naturally given. If you look at the daily activity, from eating, use forks and knives, it's very different way of learning from using chopsticks. And all these ways of doing things from the Fingered's point of view, part of the ritual, or part of ritual propriety, or part of your way to express yourself in an accepted, civilized way. And ritualization is how you learn to use your hands, how you learn to interact with other people. So your body, this is basic Confucian assumption, it's not something you earn. No, something you, in other words, it is not something that is given to you. It is not something you own. You become your body. And body is always an attainment. An assumption of that is the body and heart and mind, the soul are integrated. You cannot imagine that there's a clear separation between the body and the heart and mind. And this